Hey guys, I wanted to do a video today about GSPro lighting. I think it's one of the best features that GSPro has, but I also think it's one of the features that very few people actually pay attention to or do when they open a course for the first time. Now, we do have a feature where it will save your lighting settings. Um, after you can go through, set them all up, hit save, and it will save it for the next time that you open. But if you ever come into settings, like sometimes if a course isn't loading in correctly, well, somebody will tell you to clear course cache. When you clear course cache, it will take out those saved lighting settings for every one of your courses. So as many courses as I test and do that, I pretty much I reset my lighting for every course that I open. And I honestly I'd probably just get in that habit, just because of the difference that it makes between having good lighting and a bad lighting setting for your particular setup. So we'll load up a course here, and I'll go through and kind of show you what I look at to create, in my opinion, to create a good lighting for my setup. Now, this video it's going to show on YouTube. It may not be, you may not be able to see it as, that would be the correct lighting setting for your setup or for your monitor that you're looking at. But this is the setup that I'm just doing. You'll just want to go through on your own when you get it into your sim PC. You'll want to go through it and do it for your settings, for your projector. So when it loads in here, you got two different ways to get to it. You can hit this top tab and hit the little cloud, which is the lighting's based into the sky and weather menu item. I usually play around 11:30. Set that to simulated. There we go. So I usually have that kind of set up initially, and then you can't really see down the fairway with the menu in there, so I kind of offset it a little bit just to look down the fairway, and then I can also see some trees close to the tee box as well. So the first thing you want to set is this sunlight strength. Everything's going to be based off that sunlight. All your shadowing and everything will be based off sunlight strength. So you can go through, if you want it, if your projector is kind of maybe on cinema mode or one of the darker modes, you may have your sunlight, you may want to put that up to 1.3, 1.6, around in there. To me, on my setup right now, that's really blown out at 2. I have to get mine probably around, and I like to have it more of a natural look. I don't like it, really, really blazing at me. I never watch anything on vivid mode or anything like that. I like to have a more natural look. So once you have the sunlight strength set, then you can go saturation. Saturation is kind of its own thing. It's how green do you want it? You want to blast it out, which is, to me, again, that's unnatural. So I usually set it where if I'm standing on the tee box, that's the hue of green that I'm going for. So for this particular one, it looks pretty good to me around here, 0.8, maybe 0.85. And then this environment color, this is the main one. In my opinion, it's the most important slider of all of them. And it's to deal with the shadowing of your trees. A lot of people, in my opinion, have this set way too high, and it takes out the detail of a tree, kind of down. It doesn't look as natural as it is what it would be if you look out your window of real life. Down 100, 200 yards down the fairway, you can't see any detail in those shadows. It looks pretty well blacked out. Now up close trees, like this one over here, you'll see some detail, but it'll still be pretty dark. So I set this kind of based on that method. So for this one, for me, in my setup, it looks pretty good, somewhere maybe 0.5. Yeah, if I start getting too low, then it, in my opinion, it completely blocks out your shadows. But I would probably set it somewhere 0.5 to 0.6, around in there. But that's kind of what I'm going for. I'm going for like a natural look, not only close, up close, also down the fairway. So you can kind of see how that looks down the fairway now. The other thing is, so you can get this all saved. So the next time I open the course, as long as I don't go to clear cache, it'll save my settings. The other thing I look at is when you get to the green. I'll show you. We'll play this hole out here. When you get to the green, a lot of times on some of these courses, they'll have the greens will be a little brighter, you know, because naturally you cut the grass down, the green's going to brighten up. It's going to be brighter than your fairway. So when the designers are creating all their colors, a lot of times that green will be the lightest texture on the whole course. But with that, when you're setting your lighting, some courses may have their greens a little too bright. You may need to adjust the sunlight strength. So this one's pretty good. You know, you can clearly see the grid lines. You can see the little white balls. But if it was, say, it was a course that had, you know, like this, everything else, even on this, like everything else on two sunlight looks decent, but your green's completely blown out. Most of these courses I try to get with a designer and have him darken it up. But if it's out there, you know, and you got to play it, you just need to tone that sunlight down just a touch, and you can kind of see here it'll darken the whole thing. Now it's not ideal. I'm hoping that our developers can basically get a green slider, kind of like this bunker darken one is, where we can get a green darken slider. That's what I'm hoping for. I have a feeling we'll probably be able to get something like that in a matter of time. But until then, just know that you know, you can set your lighting settings up on the tee box, but when you get to the green, if you notice that it's just, you know, really blown out, you'll want to tone that down, you know, a little bit to make it look good. And sometimes you can do a little bit with the environment color on your greens, but you just don't want to mess with the environment color outside of the tree shadowing. That's kind of what I use it for. So, and once you hit save here, it will save the settings for the next time that you open, as long as you don't go to that clear cache. You just kind of look around here. Yeah, those, even up close, these evergreens or conifers, they look super detailed. But yet our farther away, a couple hundred yards down there, it still looks, you know, it's blacked out, which is kind of how it looks like in real life. So that's what you're going for when you set up your lighting. If you have any questions, you guys know where to reach me. I think that's all I got for today.